Retirement is a word almost nobody defines out loud. You leave it alone and it fills itself with a date and a number. When you define it, it becomes a shape, what your days look like, who's in them, what you're still doing. The date only tells you when you're allowed to stop. The shape is something you can start living now before you even get there. Here's the test I keep coming back to. If you won the lottery tomorrow, would you stop? Whatever you'd keep doing anyway, that's a really important content of the word. Welcome to Tessera, a podcast by Tesseros. Here, we're learning in the workshop of everyday life. Small adjustments, simplified workflows, creative ideas explored instead of ignored. Each episode, I share real stories from home and work as I experiment with technology and AI. Not to chase perfection, but to build systems that support what actually matter. Because when our systems support us, we create space for the things that shape us. I'm glad you're here to build this mosaic. Let's place the next piece. Most of us treat retirement like a number. Hit it and the plan is done. We've been working towards that number for quite a few years, but we're really starting to try and identify, what do we want our time to look like? Because that's the part that's the most important. There's an AI competition that we were working towards that had a hard deadline of August. And it started towards the end of the school year, and we did stall on it. I couldn't come up with a game I liked, but even bigger was that it was supposed to have the business running on AI. And I hadn't done that. I've learned a lot about this process, learning both language and how these developer hackathons work. But I leaned hard into it. I was learning co-work and code and Google AI Studio and how you actually move a business forward. And that worked. It surfaced a gap we hadn't fully identified. We have to continue defining our audience, but underneath that, a really important one, we don't really know how to market. What we're building is meant to reach people beyond the ones we already know. And we don't have an answer yet on how to find or reach them. And what's the difference between marketing and distribution? And how do you extend yourself past your own circle? Not enough of it was done before school let out. And we'd already planned our summer around something else. Family time, disconnecting, days that we had planned with fun. And the thought of winning the competition at the loss of the family summer that we had planned didn't meet the value of what we wanted to do. So we chose to let the competition go. We chose the summer we built over a deadline that would have taken it away. And I didn't totally realize it until afterward, but that move is something very directly tied to what this business is about and how we want to retire. And it's not sitting in the calendar, it's a shape. When I was 21, I had the opportunity to spend the between semester time with my grandparents, their house in Tulameen, or family cabin. And Tulameen is a very small village community with a store. And the store is the restaurant and the convenience center and the gas station. It's all in one. And so I was there and sitting on the front porch with my grandma in the morning. It has this nice, cool, chill breeze. And we were drinking a coffee and talking about what's next. How do I figure out my independence? How do I figure out what kind of job I want to be and the life I want to have? What does the rest of university look like and a career? And how do I want to stand on my own? And she was in her 50s and Grandpa was out trucking, and we were talking about the phases of our life at that time. Mine with what was ahead, hers with where she was at my age, and what she'd do the same and what she would shift. And she was mentioning an arrangement that they had. My grandpa had to keep moving. He is not the kind of person that could have ever stayed still. And one of the strengths of their relationships was that they both knew where they worked best together and where they worked best apart. And so while he was out and she was managing the household, she'd take occasional shifts at the trading post and get a chance to, one, connect with people. It was something to do. She enjoyed the work. It kept her busy as well, but it kept her busy as part of the community. And there was some fun spending money. But that was what they wanted their retirement to look like. It wouldn't have been any different from them. There wasn't a specific stop. It was a, hey, what seems interesting? Let's continue that. And she was telling me about friends she had who had waited for retirement. And one of them had a heart attack and they couldn't go do the traveling they wanted. And another had a spouse that passed away unexpectedly. And so all of their plans were out the window. And so her mentality behind it was, yes, absolutely, you have to plan for the future, but you also need to live now and identify what is it that you actually want out of that future. Because if you can start now, you should. Andrew and I have been working towards our own retirement planning because we had our goals set financially for a while, but what would we run the same if we won the lottery tomorrow? Right now, we continue what we're doing because there's satisfaction in it. But it also addresses part of why I'm building the company the way I am. At this moment, consulting is enjoyable and I like it, but if we're aiming at a 10-year frame of winding down, I want things that will outlast me. I want to create courses and games and skill sets that can extend beyond the time that I have to directly work with people. And so it's not specifically new planning, but it's a new look at the horizon. If what we want to invest in now is education or investments or looking at our business decisions, it needs to feel complete and worth it within the window that we're looking at. And so that's where retirement starts shaping for us. What do we stick with when the window closes? Fixing things, building things. We're both happy to do that. Another part of it is, what do you model for your kids in the meantime? There's a sweet spot in, do we want to retire young versus older? What's the working effort that you put in while your kids are young, but you have less impact in shaping the people that they become? If you do retire early, what is the example that you've set for them and is it attainable? And so there's all these different thoughts that go into what does this shape look like if it's not only a number? And if we have a shape that we enjoy, then the number becomes a little bit less meaningful because we can extend longer if we're enjoying what we're doing throughout. I circled back to this a little in the passion episode where we were taking apart my picture of a retirement and landing on building something that carries its own weight, not specifically the business half, but what you'd feel. But it's a really important thing to think about within your company as well, because do you plan on winding your company down? Do you plan on selling it? If something unexpected and catastrophic happened tomorrow, do you have a plan on place? And a lot of people skip this step because they think, oh, I'm going to deal with winding down my company or whatever that might be when I'm ready. But sometimes you build things different if you know what your end goal is. And so I'd really encourage you to consider that now. This summer was a reset time for us. It was family time, disconnecting, protecting the space we already planned before anything else got to chunk away at it. There were a couple of small things that kept moving anyway. One system that's been working really well, Simple's automated e-transfers. I talk about integrating business and life and where can I cross-leverage skills, because if I have one system, it works much better for me. And I have to say, this is the first time I've ever loved a bank. But within the personal portion, I can now automate e-transfers, which I couldn't do before. And there's a local farmer I pay for eggs once in a month. And I used to have a calendar reminder to go pay an e-transfer. And now it's scheduled. And the notification came up while I was on holidays that the money went out, it was handled, and there was this small, real lift in realizing that I didn't have to do it. And one more thing worth flagging, backups. Moving to the cloud made a lot of us assume that the provider is handling all of this for us, and that's only partly true. I keep an HTML file of everything that goes onto my website as my own source of truth. So if a host goes down or I want to trade platforms, I'm not starting for zero. And it's the same question as an exit strategy, really. If something happened to the provider tomorrow, is there a plan? So here's today's Tessera. If you won the lottery tomorrow, what would you keep doing? Name one thing, look at the week, and see whether any of it is actually there. And for your business, if you couldn't work tomorrow, what happens to your company? Write the answer down that you currently have, even if that answer is that you don't have one yet. And pick whichever one you've been avoiding. Thanks for listening to Tessera. If this episode sparked an idea or helped you forge a new path, we'd love to hear it. Tessera is built by community. Send us your questions, feedback, or stories about how you're using AI and other technologies to simplify your life. Email us at hello@tesseros.com or leave a review on the app where you're listening right now. And if you know someone who's looking to craft their life a little bit differently, please share this episode with them. You can find all episodes, show notes, and extras at tesseros.com/Tessera and subscribe through your preferred podcast app. Until next time, keep placing the pieces that matter.